G'day and welcome to Two Fat Brothers. I'm Scott.
And I'm John.
We're the Clark Brothers, and as you can see, well, the title says it all.
I'm afraid it does.
We're going to take you on a culinary adventure.
We're going to be cooking food that's been part of ours and our family's lives. Food that we all enjoy, and we know you're going to too.
Absolutely, John. And thanks to our sponsor, Lounge Lager, because, John, nothing puts out a fire like a loungy, we're able to bring you Two Fat Brothers. So, John, tell us, what's on today's menu?
Well, I thought we'd do something that's really been a family favourite, and that's crumbed pork chops.
Oh, yum-o. Can't wait. You're going to love this. So, John, crumbed pork chops.
Well, as you know, Scott, a family favourite.
An absolute favourite, John.
And we really had to start Two Fat Brothers this way.
Oh, I'm afraid so.
With crumbed pork chops. Pork chops are great meat in many countries, including Australia. Pork is a cheap meat.
Absolutely.
And you can do a lot with them. Crumbing them just gives a little bit of, adds a little bit of variety.
Takes it to the next level, John.
Does indeed, Scott. Adds a nice bit of crunch, and it's really nice indeed. Very simple. Sorry.
We didn't become Two Fat Brothers without that element of crunch, John.
You're right there, Scott. There was more than an element of crunch.
There's quite a large element. A large element, yeah.
A lot of crunch. The crunchometer went off the scale.
I'm afraid to say.
Not terribly many ingredients. This is a very simple dish to do. We've got some seasoned flour, a couple of free-range eggs, which we're going to beat. We've got the pork chops, of course. A little bit of sage. That's one of those food marriages, pork and sage.
Pork and sage, dead right there.
Go very well together. And we've got a sourdough loaf. We're going to make the crumbs out of a loaf of sourdough. Different ways of doing crumbs. You can use those Japanese panko crumbs.
You can indeed. Very crunchy. Yes.
Beautiful with those. But today we're going to make some fresh bread crumbs from a sourdough loaf, and we're going to chop up the sage and put it through the crumb.
John, but you could also use the bread that's stuck in your freezer that you forget about, the crusts, those little...
Well, absolutely, Scott. Don't throw bread away, but then again, don't let it just die in the freezer of freezer bread, because it does dehydrate. The freezer pulls the moisture out of it.
That white sort of burn over it.
It does. So make breadcrumbs. Just blitz them in the food processor or one of those little handheld blenders, and store them in your freezer. And they'll last for ages, and you're never short for breadcrumbs. You can, of course, toast them as well if you want to, just with a light toast, and then blitz them. You don't have to buy breadcrumbs. So here we go: pork chops, sage, eggs, seasoned flour, and a sourdough loaf. Let's see what we can do. Okay, now we crumb the pork chops. You notice these are quite fatty. In pork, fat equals flavour. Now, if you don't like to have really fatty pork, cut the fat off. But and I know you do, tend to buy the pork with the fat on. You can cut it off, but you can't cut it on. Righto. Okay, first of all, we put the pork chop into some seasoned flour, as I said, seasoned with salt and pepper. Then into the beaten egg. I don't add any cream or milk, it's purely an egg mixture. You can add milk or you can add cream, some people add water. Then we go into the breadcrumb mixture, into which I've chopped a few sage leaves just to give it a little bit of extra flavour. So that's one done. And now the other.
John, it's interesting that this sourdough has actually made quite a soft crumb.
It has, Scott, and it's as I said earlier, it's very fresh too. So it's a bit damp, because it's fresh. Perhaps in some cases a drier crumb might be more appropriate, given that it'd stick better to the pork chop. But It'll be fine. It'll be delicious.
I think it'll be lovely, John. And of course, you could always get away or get around that by letting the crumb sit in the bowl for a while.
Absolutely. Just let it...
Just go stale naturally, just dry out, yeah.
Absolutely. So there we are. Crumbed pork chops ready to go into the pan.
Looking forward to it. Come on, John, it must be ready.
It is, Scott. Here it is. The fried pork chop with sage crumb, and the crumb today is sourdough.
Lovely, John. Look at that. It looks absolutely fabulous.
Doesn't look too bad, does it? I suggest serving it with a nice green salad.
Oh, John, that looks brilliant. And may I be so bold as to suggest that we accompany this lovely meal with a Barossa Shiraz.
Do you know what? I just happen to have one ready.
I love it when a plan comes together.
I thought you might. And the plan will come together again next time here on
Two Fat Brothers. Welcome to Two Fat Brothers. I'm Scott.
And I'm John.
That was a good start, wasn't it?
It was a good start. What went wrong then?
Well, I didn't know what to say.
Oh, okay.
Okay, start again.